Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another The Sports Scoop video. Today it's just me, and as you can see by the title, we are going to be doing the top 10 wide receivers in the NFL. Just a couple disclaimers before we do the video. This is only wide receivers, so Titans like Travis Kelce, who would make the list if it was all receivers, will not. Second of all, this list will be mainly based off the player's performance this year, but it will also take into account consistency or play from previous years. So players like Justin Jefferson or rookies in general will not be on this list because we haven't seen enough of them to say that they are a top 10 receiver. So number 10, we have Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin, in my opinion, one of, if not the most overlooked receiver in the NFL. He has been fantastic for his first 2 years in the NFL. He's had to deal with inconsistent QB play from players like Dwayne Haskins, Alex Smith, and Kyle Allen. He doesn't have ideal size for a wide receiver, but he makes up for it. He has insane route running and also is very good after the catch. As he continues to progress his game and Washington will inevitably probably get a better quarterback, his numbers are only going to progress, and I expect him to be a top 5 receiver very soon. Now going on to number 9, another overlooked receiver in my opinion is Allen Robinson. So Allen Robinson has actually had very good years. He's actually had 1,110 yards this season, which is surprising considering he is a part of a Bears offense that looked basically dead during midseason. But even with dealing with Nick Foles and Mitchell Trubisky, he's been actually very solid for them. He's had a normal, very consistent year, and I think in a better offense, he's much more great stats, and I think he could even be in the conversation for top 5 in an offense that allowed him to thrive more. Even in an offense like the Bears, he's still able to make a top 10 list of wide receivers. Now moving on to number 8, we've got Keenan Allen. Now Keenan Allen, in my opinion, could have even gone as high as top 5, but I feel like there are so many good wide receivers in the NFL right now that I had to slip him down to 8. That being said, he's been very good. Again, he's played like a top 5 receiver. He's gotten a lot of yards. He is 3rd in receptions this season. He's been a real big reason why Justin Herbert will inevitably, most likely, win Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's put up very good sets, and even in a poor Charger season, the connection between Herbert and Allen has been one of the few bright spots for LA. And I think in future years, they have a lot to look forward to, and the Allen to Herbert connection will just get better. Number 7 spot, we've got DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf, in my opinion, he's destined to be a top 5 receiver very soon. I think one of the only things holding him back right now is he doesn't know the route tree well enough, and also he's only a second-year wide receiver, but he's one of the most purely talented players the NFL has probably ever seen. He's like his combination of size, speed, athleticism, strength. It's just, we haven't seen that in a wide receiver prospect in a long time. The fact that he lasted past the first round is baffling to me. He's easily going to be a top 5 receiver, whether or not he does have rust or not. Now moving on to the number 6 spot, we've got Mike Evans. So Mike Evans hasn't had the best of years in terms of production, but then again, that has to be accounted that the Bucs offense is much stronger and there's a lot more weapons around Evans, like Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, even Scotty Miller. So he's obviously not going to have the same amount of yards that he has, and also with Tom Brady, he's much more likely than, instead of to just throw the ball deep to Evans, he's gonna like to spread the wealth around, and I think that's the reason that's contributing to Evans' downward production. But that being said, he's still definitely one of the best in the game. The stats will deceive you and say that, oh, he's lost it. Not at all. If you look at his film, he's still very command of the route tree. When Brady often looks at him in big situations, as you can see though by his touchdown total, he's easily one of the best, if not the best, aerial threat in the red zone. Production from previous years still makes him top 6 and close to top 5. Now we've got number 5, and we got Julio Jones. So Julio Jones, on the surface, looks like he's completely fallen off and he's no longer what he used to be. Obviously, if he hadn't been one of the most consistent receivers in recent years, he wouldn't have cracked this list. But it's not just the consistency from previous years. If you look at the stats, he still actually had a very solid year. He's only played 9 games, but he's actually 8th in yards per game, and he's being featured in an offense that also has Calvin Ridley. Combine that with one of the best connections ever between quarterback and wide receiver in Matt Ryan, Julio Jones. I think Julio Jones right now still deserves that top 5 spot. I don't know how much longer he'll be able to hold it, but I still think right now he's still deserving of it. Now moving on to the top 4, and at number 4, I've got Tyreek Hill. So Hill easily by miles the fastest receiver on this list. But I think another thing that really goes past a lot of people's notice, he's a very underrated route runner, as seen by him running Wasp in the Super Bowl against the 49ers. He is a very underrated route runner, and of course that has a lot to deal with his speed, but I think he's very agile, and which really helps him and contributes to his fine route running. I think people, most cornerbacks, if not all, they're going to give him so much space. They give soft zone coverage, which often leads to easy receptions for him and easy yards for Mahomes, and his speed and route running skills are one of the reasons why Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Now we go on to number 3, and I've got Stephon Diggs here. I think Diggs needed that receiver that quarterback, that could actually expand his route tree and maybe tell him, okay, we need a big play from you, Stephon. And he's really came up with a lot of those. He runs a lot deeper routes now, and he gets a lot more catches and targets from Allen, who's much more of an aggressive, quarterback than Kirk Cousins. It's really helped him, and Diggs has been, most of your teammates will tell you that he is one of the best leaders on this team. His breakout season has been one of the main reasons why Josh Allen has been a top 5 quarterback in 2020. So I think that, combined with his pretty good production in recent years, makes him top 3 wide receiver on this list. Now moving on to our top 2 spot. Number 2, I've got DeAndre Hopkins. Now, a lot of people have Hopkins at number 1, and of course I can understand that. Hey, why is Hopkins at number 2? It's nothing against Hopkins. I just think the number 1 guy has just been slightly better this year and in recent years as well. That's no knock against Hopkins, though. He's been number 1 in yards this season. Has the best hands in the league. He's been consistent for multiple years with multiple coaches and quarterbacks. He had Bill O'Brien as the head coach and still managed to have some incredible production with Deshaun Watson. I think it's really, even though a lot of people know how good he is, it's still underappreciated how good he's being. I think he is a lock for Canton, even at this early stage in his career. I think he's still one of the best receivers in the history of the NFL, in my opinion. What he does is it's unrivaled. He has very good route running. He's probably one of the best jump ball between one-on-one, is seen by the Cardinals-Bills game. There's not much else I can say to really tell you how good of a player DeAndre Hopkins is. And it really says a lot that he's number 2 on this list, which means I have to give a lot more praise to the number 1 spot. Now let's go on to that number 1 spot. I've got DeVante Adams. So, in my opinion, Adams by far has been the best wide receiver this year. He's missed 2 games and still is second in the league in touchdowns. He has 14. He leads the league in yards per game, and he's one of those consistent targets for Aaron Rodgers. When Rodgers needs a big play, he's always going to look to DeVante to maybe draft a wide receiver, because they were clearly lacking a number 2 wide receiver opposite to DeVante Adams. So when they didn't take a wide receiver, I think a lot of Packers fans were concerned, was the Packers offense going to falter because they needed that second weapon? And I think they said that maybe they need someone else to step up if they're going to have a really, really good year. And really, the number 2 wide receiver spot still is kind of vacated. But the Packers offense has looked better in 2020. And I think a real main reason why is because of DeVante Adams. He's almost taken a step up. He has been that guy for Aaron Rodgers, and he's been that way for multiple years now. Now, this isn't a knock on MVS or Allen Lazard. They're both good players in their own rights, but DeVante Adams has really had to go to new levels to make this Packers offense good. Him and Aaron Rodgers right now, by far, in my opinion, the best QB to wide receiver combination in the NFL, and I think for that reason, DeVante Adams does deserve that number 1 spot. But that's it for the video. If you liked it, make sure to like and subscribe. Check out our socials. We really appreciate you watching this video, and yeah, thanks for watching.